And you're welcome back here to Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. John Duggan with you through to 5. Now, just under 2 weeks ago, Limerick senior hurlers won the All-Ireland for the third year in a row, the fourth year in 5, in a thrilling final against Kilkenny at Croke Park. It's just a 2-point win. One man who's been on the whole journey, the whole way through from 2018, even back to underage, 2015 All-Ireland winner at underage level, Darragh O'Donovan from Doon. Darragh, how are you?
All good now. Yourselves?
Not too bad. What's the last fortnight been like for you, Darragh?
I suppose last week, just gone, it was very wild. I like the partying, so it was good crack. There was a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings, so very little sleep, so just catching up on it now and find out when getting home from work in the evenings, gone to bed early. So no, it was very enjoyable, and it was great to enjoy it with the supporters now as well, getting around to meet them again. I suppose the last 2 years been those wins we weren't able to celebrate with the supporters and with the local communities and with the kids and things like that. So it's been nice, it's been very nice.
Did you see parts of Limerick you wouldn't normally see?
Yeah, a few places now, I might be welcome there most weeks, That week I was welcome, so might be welcome back again after some of the partying, but no. All good. It was all good.
I think I remember a few years ago, was there some bar or something in maybe the rural Limerick that one of the players was involved in? He all ended up there or something like that.
Yeah, Nicky Quaid in bar there, Davies Bar out in Effin. If you're going to Effin now from Limerick City, tis an adventure. It's like a tour, school tour. No, good crack though, and Nicky was always very accommodating and all the lads down there. And it was nice to got down there in those previous years.
You're on the Tipperary border. Have you brought Lee McCarthy down to Doon yet?
No, not yet. No, not yet. I suppose maybe in the next couple of weeks we might get it down there. I know I was down there at the cool camp during the week, but I suppose collectively as a group for the Doon clubmen there, that we might bring it back there soon. But I know it'll be a nice touch to bring it back to the club. And we're a small club, picking from a very small area, and it's nice that we've so many lads on the squad, and in recent years we've even had more.
Is there much of a rivalry with Tip down there? Is there?
Absolutely, yeah. I like playing Tip now. It's enjoyable. I've some great friends within that Tip panel as well. That would have went to college with. So there's a nice healthy rivalry there, and we've always enjoyed those games with them lads. And I suppose it's like even Kilkenny last week. There's a great There's great respect between the teams. There's none of this mouthing or any of that kind of antics goes on. It's good hurling, and it's tough hurling, and it's man-to-man stuff. There's no rubbish, there's no play acting or anything like that, which I really enjoy about those lads.
How did you feel the game kind of evolved for you? The battle, like Kilkenny were going to bring it, they did bring it. It was close. It was even level with about 10 minutes to go. What was it like to play in that final there a couple of weeks ago, Darragh?
Yeah, playing it. No, I didn't do much playing it. I was poor performance now for myself, but no, I was lucky. The lads, we've some great individuals within our group. It was a great team performance overall. It was a tough game. Kilkenny always bring a massive challenge. I remember my first day of playing senior against Kilkenny below 2017 in Nolan Park, and it was a real baptism of fire for us. I remember marking Michael Fennelly down there in that game, and Michael was my hero growing up. And that was a real baptism of fire. I suppose we were kind of in awe of those lads back then, but I suppose going into the game last weekend, and I suppose the experiences we've had over the last number of years, you just take these things in your stride, and you have to go after these lads, and I suppose you have a level of respect for them, but you can't be looking up to them either. You look at TJ there. TJ will probably go down as probably the greatest hurler of all time. No disrespect to any other player, but TJ's phenomenal player. To be playing against them guys, it's phenomenal.
Michael Fennelly, why was he your hero? What did you model your play on when you're looking up to him, as it were?
I suppose Michael, we had Michael down to our own club in 2013, presenting medals as minors. We were after winning a minor championship, and I suppose I watched Michael in previous years gone by. I suppose I was modelling kind of the position he was playing, and kind of the work rate of Michael, and the athleticism of him, and his overall round hurling ability. I think people speak about his athleticism and his strength and his work rate, but I think he was a phenomenal hurler as well. I think back to that 2011 All-Ireland final, the goal he got in that game. I remember sitting in the Cusick stand that day with my dad, and I was on the lower tier there. I remember seeing that goal, and it was a cracker of a goal, Michael, he always seemed to be the perfect professional, you know.
What is a midfield play like nowadays? Because it's not like maybe the days of John Fenton, for example, in the 80s, and there was dominant players. It seems to be like an engine room now with yourself and William O'Donoghue. Is that an apt description?
I think William is the engine now. I'm only, right. I'm only a few little moments, I think, you know what I mean?
You're the car, you're the fast car.
No, it's not even about that now. You know, look, I'm a very ordinary player within that group. Like playing midfield nowadays, it's kind of a link. You're kind of a link between the defence and attack. And I suppose, you know, we've all had to develop our games over time and develop the way our style of play. So, look, we're just there to facilitate other guys and to get lads into the game, maybe making those passes between the half back line to the half forward and things like that. And I suppose teams are adapting as well. You know, you see you'll have different players in different counties play different ways. You know, you look at Adrian Mullen there, who's a phenomenal player, you know, and he will get a lot of scores here. But then you have someone like William there in Limerick, like him. The work rate of William is it's phenomenal. He's just a great team player, and as many lads within our group would have quoted, you know, I'd rather him on my team than on someone else's team, you know.
How have you found Limerick's play has evolved since 2018? It was a very emotional day, 45 years to come win that All-Ireland against Galway. You're now 3 in a row champions. What has changed in that period for you as a team, do you think, Darragh?
Yeah, I suppose 2018, you know, sitting down with Keane on Tuesday, we're just chatting about this at breakfast, and we're just saying, you know, 2018 will never happen again. Well, we hope it won't ever happen again, or won't have to happen again for Limerick hurling. You know, that it would have to wait that length of time for an All-Ireland. I suppose back then, as we were kind of young lads, and there was no expectations really. You know, you just went with the flow. You know, it was a massive hurdle to come over, and there were so many good players that went by Limerick in the 45 years previous and never won a championship. And I suppose that was a very, very emotional time for a lot of people within Limerick. You know, past players who had just left our panel as well. You know, it was tough times for them. But since then, I suppose we just always said we wanted to continue on. We didn't want to stop at 2018. We didn't want that to be the definition of our legacy. You know, so you know, when you win once, you want to go again. Like, it's like a drug. You know, it's that high and that emotion. You know, you want those 15 seconds after the final whistle is blown in an All-Ireland final. That's special. You know, when you hear the anthem of your county, you know, playing in the background. Whereas for Limerick, it's for Dreams. For Kilkenny, it's the Rose and Moonkind. That thing, that's very special. Like that makes the hairs in the back of your neck stand up. You know,
that's the essence of what it's all about, isn't it, Darragh? And just in terms of, like, I suppose we all talk about tactics and we all talk about the matches and physicality and all that kind of thing. But the skills of the game, how much? Is a lot about repetition, about when it's about movement and about striking the ball and about controlling the sliotar. How have you been working on the skills of your game over the last few years?
I suppose in terms of myself, like in terms of working on my skill, like ball alley was always something that I was into. You know, Eamon Cregan would have drilled that into us as a young lad when we were in the academy in Limerick. You know, Eamon has been a great influence on a lot of lads within that group on their careers. You know, whether it was through the academy, right through to college and Mary I, and Eamon would have always harped on about, you know, the time to spend in the ball alley and to be honing those skills. And I suppose, you know, for myself, it's definitely something that I would focus on a lot. It's just getting those few pucks in. There's 15, 20 minutes every day off the wall, you know, bringing a hurley with you to work and heading down to a ball wall somewhere locally and just poking a few balls, or if it's in the gym before training and just poking the ball off the wall there. I suppose the more time you have the ball in your hand, the more comfortable you'll get with it. You know, I suppose it goes back to an example of Pat Lam when he came into Connacht. Come back, I think it was 2016 or 17, and everyone got a rugby ball. You know, they were all given a rugby ball going home. So they become comfortable with the ball in their hand. And I think it's the same for hurling, same for football, same for soccer. You know, that's what the game is played with, the ball.
Yeah, the academy, how large has that been in terms of making Limerick these champions? Because everybody's all the academy, but what is the academy? It sounds like a Willy Wonka chocolate factory. You know?
You know, it sounds like a sexy term, doesn't it? The academy, you know, it's kind of a buzzword, but like I suppose McManus family and Jerry in particular, you know, put an awful lot of focus into that. John McKenna, Ava Roddy, you know, they got the right people involved in it. You know, Shane Fitzgibbon was there early on. Then we had Brian Ryan and Jerry Wallace. Like, these guys, you know, it was a Saturday morning in Newell. It was a Tuesday evening in Newell in the gym. It was a Friday evening in Newell in the gym. You know, this would go on throughout the winters. And, you know, them Saturday mornings with Jerry Wallace and Brian Ryan out in the 4G in Newell, they were tough mornings. You know, Jerry would often decide, bring your runners, lads. We were going for 2 or 3 mile run after training, you know, after doing an hour and a half's training. And I suppose they embedded a culture into the group, and they kind of created that winning mindset. There was what I really enjoyed about Jerry when he came into the academy setup was that you know, there'd always be a big speech after training, and it would kind of get you going, and you'd be going home for training and saying, "Geez, I want to go back to training again," you know. And you know, they got the right people that fitted the right group of players at the right time, you know. And then we were able to go on to 2015, and you know, it was our first encounter with John. I suppose the rest is history.
What are John's attributes?
John has so many attributes. You know, you couldn't. The list would be endless. But like, I think, you know, his leadership skills are just they're phenomenal. But he's a great learner. John is a great learner. He's always learning. There's always something different with him. There's something. He's growing. His growth potential is phenomenal. If you were there when we would have started out with him in 2015 as a manager to where he is now, like it's just going up levels and levels every year, you know. So, you know, he's a great family man as well, John. That's one thing I'd really compliment about him. Like, even last week, just seeing the Woodlands there, his wife and his kids by his side the whole time, you know. You know, he's a very humble human being, like, you know.
Is he much of a talker?
Oh yeah, he likes to talk, and yeah, he gets a bit. As the nights get later, he talks a bit longer, you know. But you don't want to get on the wrong side of him either. I've had a few of those conversations, you know.
Right.
They're getting the hairdryer treatments, and
yeah. Is that a little bit unnerving?
It is. It can be. But I suppose that's his job, you know. It's his job to challenge us and to get the best out of us. And I suppose I had a 2-month sabbatical in the States there last winter, so I had put up a few extra pounds, and I suppose he was challenging me all year to lose that weight, and I suppose it's something I need to even look into more so this winter. So, but no, it's all part of it, isn't it?
Well, you have to have a degree of distance, don't you? You can't be the mate of the players, but you have to have that leadership as well. But I think he's able to balance it, isn't he?
He absolutely is. No, John is. He's got that teacher mindset, you know. Like, John could grill you, you know, and you could meet him 5 minutes later, and he'd be all about you. You know what I mean? You have to have that, you know. And it's a great characteristic of his, you know. And I suppose it's something that we can all carry. You know, we can learn from him, and we can apply it to our own lives.
What is the Paul Kinnerk philosophy then in terms of coaching? Because once again, it's Paul Kinnerk is this alchemist, but what is the reality of that, I suppose?
Look, I suppose Paul is Paul. Like, you know, he's just a modern day coach. I suppose he's breaking barriers, and I suppose everyone is very high in demand. I suppose everyone wants a piece of him, and you know, I suppose he's not doing anything different to what probably most coaches are doing in other counties. I suppose just the way he's applying it, and just the demands he's putting on us. And I suppose it's the demands that the players are putting on themselves too. You know, I suppose holding each other accountable every night of training, and to the games that Paul is applying to us at training as well. You know, the lads are there to facilitate, but the players will drive it. You know, the players have to drive those sessions. You know, Paul, like, the influence he's had in our careers is. We'll never meet anyone like that again. It's actually what I find is very challenging is when you're going back and you're working with a different coach, maybe at club level, and you're comparing everything to what Paul is doing. I actually met Colin Ryan, the former Clare hurler, there a couple of weeks ago, and he was just chatting about it. He's saying how he finds it so frustrating when he goes and he meets another coach. You were comparing it to Paul, I suppose. You know, it's like when you had a teacher in school and the teacher was really, really good, and a new teacher comes in and you're comparing and saying, that's not how Paul would do it, you know. So look,
what sets them apart then? Is it breaking the play down into sectors? Is it the possession game? What is it?
Yeah, I suppose there's loads of different elements, you know, whether it's you know, puck outs, you know, keeping the ball, working on tackling. There's so many different. I suppose he's taken a lot of his ideas from different sports then as well, and he's applied them to hurling. He's a scientist in itself. I'm sure he's very high in demand throughout the GA and throughout many other sports. And I don't think GA is where Paul will finish. And I think he's going to go further and further. And I know he's an ambitious guy as it is.
Just in terms of the season, Darragh, the league, it wasn't nothing special, but you were able to just find a pitch for performance against Cork the first day in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. How can you just turn that on? What was the kind of way of just being able to just get into gear?
I wouldn't say that the league was all in all of it.
Right.
I remember the first game, I was watching it at home, and against Wexford, still could have won that game. It was nip and tuck, dead on. Won the following week, we played Galway. We were winning at half-time. Garrod got sent after us after half-time. Very hard to play against a team like Galway with 14 and 15. That could have been 4 points in the board. But then we went in against Cork, and obviously Cork were going to come with their dander up after the All-Ireland final previously, and they gave us a bit of a licking, but I suppose we weren't panicking, we weren't panicking in terms of our group. I suppose we always knew that we would get it right when we needed to get it right. We were pushing each other every night at training. And I suppose when other teams were tapering off to play Limerick in league games, we were ramping up the tempo of training. We weren't tapering it down, we were ramping it up. So look, we had our eyes set on Páirc Uí Chaoimh in April, and we paid dividends.
The Munster final, it was obviously through the round robin, and you were unbeaten in the round robin. It was a day, I think Anthony Daly kind of uses this quote, that it's a day you tell your kids and your grandkids about.
Yeah, it was kind of a war of attrition, wasn't it? It was, I suppose, the quality of the hurling wasn't the best, but I suppose the battle that was there was just phenomenal, and the intensity Clare brought to that game was something else, and I suppose our lads matched that intensity as well. Just the effort of our group that day, the lads that came in off the bench, the effort of those guys that day, they got us over the line in that game. The likes of Dave Reedy, Conor Boylan, Graham, those lads, they drove it on, Hushy in there as well. Those lads really, really pushed us on in that game.
You just knackered, Darragh. It just felt, watching it being down there in Thurles, there was a rain. It just felt so claustrophobic.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I suppose it was the first kind of game as such since COVID had hit that, you had a full stadium, and maybe it was kind of unnatural for players that, we're back into Semple Stadium, 50,000 people in here, and, everyone down on top of each other, that rain. Clare and Limerick, who had the game in us, it was kind of in a shadow box and went on the fortnight previous. So yeah, it was a fair game now. It was a fair game.
And it's probably the moment of the year was Tony Kelly, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, in fairness, like that, what Tony done in that game was class. It was a special thing to witness and see. But look, Tony's a phenomenal player, and no different to some of the players we have in our group who are just as equally as good. So he's a guy we would all have great respect for, and I think he every acknowledgement he gets, he deserves.
Garrett Hegarty had a great goal in that game and played so well in the final then against Kilkenny. And Diarmaid Byrnes has had a great year, hasn't he? To be able to, those frees, they're just like he's shooting peas. They're just going straight over the bar all the time. That must give you huge confidence as a player in the trenches with him.
It's unbelievable. As I say to Burns every night, I'd be following him when he'd be doing his shooting. I'd say, do the trademark there, Diarmaid, you know what I mean? Because he has that trademark where he just steps onto the right, and it's bends it like a golfer, and Diarmaid is just, the levels he's going at the minute it's phenomenal. He's a class player, but at the end of it all, Diarmaid is a very humble human being, it's a very nice guy. He always makes time for everyone, and it mightn't be very known outside of our group, but he's a phenomenal leader. He's a phenomenal leader, and he's a great example to every player within our group.
The Galway game, did that stand to you in the final, given you really had to dig it out against Galway? Did that stand to you, do you think, against Kilkenny, or are these just treated as separate games in a way?
No, definitely, yeah. The Galway game, the intensity Galway brought to that game, they brought an awful lot to that game. It's no secret how hard that Galway team work. Like when you think of their best forward, Conor Whelan, how hard he works. He sets the example for them lads. And, that game could have easily went Galway's way. With 5 minutes to go, they looked to be in the driving seat. We're lucky Dave there came on and got 3 great scores. Keane, the difference he made coming onto the field, and the way he was attracting players to him, and it was opening up spaces for other guys. Look, like, the way I look at it, there's 7 or 8 teams, maybe 10, that could win this championship any year. The Liam McCarthy Championship, all the teams competing in it, they could win it. There's potential any team could win it.
But you did it against Kilkenny. You've probably beaten everybody now. What do you think the key was to just getting over the line in the final, Darragh?
I suppose experience. As such, I suppose that experience we've had over the last couple of years. The performance of certain individuals in that game, our half forward in that game, the performance of them 3 lads was off the charts. Like Garrod's performance in that game, Kyle and Tom, like they were just class. Like, and our half backline as well, just equally as good. Performance of Declan, like, I think Declan's probably the most underrated hurler in the country. I know people laugh at that, but he is people are on about hurlers of the years and Diarmid and things like that, and like, why isn't Declan in that category? Like, I've never seen the man have a bad performance. He's such a good player.
When you're in the midfield, you're going through a lot of work, Darragh and William as well. So often, sometimes you're not on the pitch at the end. It's happened a couple of times All Ireland finals. Are you just going mad on the sideline, or how are you feeling when you're not actually on the field of play?
I'm taking a break anyway. Do that, John. I'm taking a break when I get off, and I'm trying to bring down the heart rate a small bit. It's midfield. Like, I suppose teams now are pushing up a lot more, myself and William, than they would have been before. So we're getting that bit more attention, and they're getting a bit more physical with us. And credit to the lads, the Kilkenny lads, they kept us out of the game as much as they could. But yeah, when you're getting off that pitch, it's not a nice position to be in, because you're not in control of it anymore. So you're kind of looking out, you're peaking kind of more so than looking at it. But I have full trust in the lads that are out there. They're going to get that job done.
It's amazing for the Limerick people, isn't it? All those disappointments. I remember being there in '94, the Offaly game, '96, Wexford. You'd think surely they'd win one, and they didn't. And it's a movement of people now that are just probably planning their whole summer around this, going to these games, getting their kids involved. It's really ignited the county, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's great for the Limerick people, I suppose we can't get carried away with ourselves either, because we know how hard it was, for us for so long, and how we were down in the doldrums for so long. So it's important that we don't get carried away with ourselves either, and that we acknowledge that this group of players won't be around forever. But as long as we're there, we're going to work as hard as we can to make Limerick as successful as they can, to give those supporters as much entertainment as we can, and to make their summers as long as we can.
Brian Cody stepped down last week, and John Kiley was on the show last Saturday, and he told us that Brian came into the dressing room, and obviously there's huge respect for Brian, and we won't see another like him, I don't think, will we, Darragh?
Absolutely not. No, it's like he's the Sir Alex Ferguson of hurling. He's the Vince Lombardi of it. He's, you go across all those sports, he's the man, and the presence of him within a room, and in our dressing room. I go back to even 2017 when he came in, and some of the words he spoke about in Nolan Park that night. You can see why he has been so successful. And you always see clips of him there online, and him speaking at a web summit, and the demands that he would have on guys. And I suppose we all admire Brian, and we wish him all the best in his retirement. And look, I'm sure he'll enjoy getting involved now, maybe his club and things like that. And if he's ever looking for a job, he might come down to Doon there sometime. I'm sure he wants to do that as well.
It's funny, we see him all the time. We see him on the sideline, but I'm sure when he's in the dressing room, there's the aura. You can feel the aura, do you?
Yeah. You just this presence, like, he marches around the room. He just the whole room gets his attention, and he's a very humble man, Brian. So I'd have the utmost respect for him. And he's the way his teams have always carried themselves. That Kilkenny team, I've never heard a bad story about any of those guys, and it's a mark of Brian's management skills.
Would you model yourselves on them at all, Darragh? That Kilkenny team. Would you model yourselves on that Kilkenny team?
Oh yeah, like John, growing up, I would have went to every All Ireland. My dad would have taken me to every All Ireland. Like so many of those Kilkenny players, they would have been heroes of mine and lads that I would looked up to. And you still even there's so much respect you'd have for these guys. If you met him, I'd be in awe of some of them if I met him. Like I can meet DJ Carey. I'm back a good few years ago after a college game, and he shake my hand and he'd come up talk to me. And it's like I was kind of in shock, that he would come up chatting. And look, they're such a good team, the character they had though was phenomenal. Like when you think back, Tommy Walsh, JJ Delaney, Michael Rice, Martin Comerford, Henry, there's so many of them. You don't want to leave anyone out,
Yeah. And does that then give you a hunger to chase this 4 in a row? Because obviously sometimes when hunger is sated, it's hard sometimes to motivate yourself. It's almost a professional game now. Is there something you find easier with every year, or is it a little bit more difficult every year?
I suppose the game is getting, the demands of the sport are getting tougher and tougher. And you'd have to wonder where the demands of the game are going to be in 10 to 15 years' time. And, when my kids and things like that start playing, like, where is hurling and football, where's it going to be at then? Because if you look at where it is right now to where it was 10 years ago, the demands, the physical demands, like, where's it going to go? Where's it going to finish? It's only going to grow, like. So
are you finding it difficult then with the work-life balance, or is it hard?
Yeah, like I think the work-life balance is becoming challenging and more challenging for guys every year. Like I suppose if you want to get a better job, that means, and you want to get better paid, that means you're taking on more responsibility, which is taking up more of your time. Which means that maybe you've less time to dedicate to your sport in terms of your nutrition, your strength and conditioning, getting to train and being there early, doing your recovery work. So it is getting more and more difficult. I would think that you'll see a lot of lads, you can see it across the board anyway, that players are dropping off, especially in counties that aren't as successful.
Yeah. Do you think it's a challenge for the Amateur Status Association in time?
I would think so. I would be a believer of that. That it's definitely something that they may have to look into in time. Even if it was like, it's the financials of it all now. Even your nutrition, things like that. Like the cost of that, even at the minute, is just, and you're getting very little support in terms of, we get, in fairness to for the GA, there's €80 kind of a discount there every month, but is that really going to suffice over time? I'm not so sure.
Are the expenses enough?
Like the expenses, yeah, they'll cover your diesel, they'll cover your petrol, whatever it is. But like there was 82,500 people in Crow Park last Sunday for the football final. Some of those that's probably to go back to work Tuesday. And the demands that are being put in, guys. It's €90 for a ticket. Could there be something done there to maybe give players a bit more of an incentive? Maybe could there be? I know Tom Marcy done a fantastic study there a couple of years ago on whether we could bring in some kind of a tax break for GA players. But look, it's probably a conversation to be had.
Yeah,
with people that know a lot more about it than I. But I would be thinking there's a lot more GA players out there that would have the same thoughts as myself, but they may not want to speak out about it because I think there will be a cancel kind of a culture. People will want to knock you down and say, no. You sit down there now and be quiet, like.
Has the split season helped? Are you a fan of it?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about it. I'm not so sure.
Why?
You know, let's say you take an inter-county player maybe that went back training last November, right? And they didn't finish up. His county didn't finish up till early July. He's back into his club season a week later. He's continued his training. Let's see his club get to Munster club final. That's November, so it's going to be that inter-county player is going to be playing all year round. So, does that inter-county player get a break? I'm not so sure. You know, you take the Ballyhale Shamrocks lads. Do they get any break? Are they going to get any break? Like, you know. So I like, even, you know, how we if the World Cup had been on this summer, you know, the World Cup final may have been on the same weekend as the All Ireland hurling final. Would we have got the same amount of people watching the game? Would it have got the same coverage? Would the demand have been the same for the sport? You know. So look, like, I suppose that's conversations for guys that know a lot more about these things and are better planners than I am. But that would be my opinion on it. I think that the game can grow so much, and I think hurling in particular, a lot more can be done to promote our players. You know, like, how many kids around Ireland would know a certain amount of players? They only know 10, 15 players with their helmets off. You know, whereas they're Gaelic footballers. I could, if 100 Gaelic footballers in Ireland walked into my office here, I'd know who they were. You know what I mean? Whereas hurlers, I wouldn't even know some hurlers in other counties with their helmets off. You know, so I think more can be done to promote hurling.
Yeah, absolutely, and get it into other counties. And we're interested to see, we have Kilkenny have a vacancy, Cork just got a new manager, Waterford have a vacancy, Tipperary just got a new manager, Dublin have could be changing their manager. They're all there to shoot at Limerick next year, Darragh.
Oh, I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of appetite within those counties, you know, and all those lads that you've rattled off there, all those counties, there's the squads and the panel of players that are there. They're just, I think hurling is in a very, very healthy state at the minute. As I said to you earlier on, I think I fully believe that every team competing in the McCarthy can win it. You know, starting out at the start of the season, every team could win it. You know, there's no team that you will be going in and saying, you know, we're going to beat these, no matter. No, that's not happening.
What's life like outside of the hurling pitch for you, Darragh? You know, your other half is Aisling Thompson of Cork. Is there much chat about the hurling between you, or just no J talk whatsoever?
Yeah, sometimes it'll be no J talk, sometimes it'll be all J talk. There'll be a few rows. Cork Limerick thing, we'd have a few debates about that, but no, it's Aisling is doing very well, and you know, she had a great performance last Saturday. And we're all very happy for her, and you know, I hope they can drive on now next Sunday, and I might give Cork an old cheer next Sunday. So
very good.
It would be great to see them win, because, you know, in fairness, Davy has done some great things with them there this year, and I know that Aisling is a great time for Davy, and a lot of the girls have, you know. So it would be great to see him be successful.
And you're a Man United man for your sins.
Yeah, for my sins, it's been a tough couple of years now. I think Ten Hag is gonna do the business. I suppose there was that group of players. I suppose you think of, when you're talking about professional, they're not the very most professional players at all. You're talking about leagues and dressing rooms. You say you'd never hear a beep out of a GA or something. Next ball, you have professional soccer players on 200-300k a week, and there's rumours flying left, right, and centre. But Man United, yeah, hopefully I might get out now to a game in the next couple of months. Get out and see him. I've been chatting to a few of the boys actually about it. We have a little mini Man United supporters club going on in the group. We're taking on Hego's Liverpool supporters club. There's a few of those. So yeah, but look, it's all good banter, you know.
Bit of slagging. It seems like you've got a great group, Limerick. You've got a great culture. You all get on. You're all mates, and that, you know, that's maybe why you're still going and still at the top here.
Yeah, no, look, there's great friendships there, John. There's great friendships there. Like all my closest friends, if I used to pick up the phone to them, it's within that group. You know, there's some great lads there, and through tough times, you know, we all have tough times, and those lads will be the first lads to be at your door. They'd be first lads to pick up the phone, the first lads to put the arm around your shoulder. And, you know, their family as such. And if you were going on holidays, they'd be the first lads you'd be saying, will we head here, you know. I know a good few of the lads, they move into a house with each other during the summer. You know, these lads, I'm just lucky enough to be a part of it, to have these kind of friends that are, you know, they're so good to each other. And it's like, you know, I always use Keane as the example. You know, he's the David Beckham within our group, but he's also a phenomenal player, you know, and everyone knows Keane, and just the humility of the man, you know, and the friendship of him, you know, he's always something good to say to everyone. He's always putting an arm around someone's shoulder. And even when he got that injury at training the previous week, he'd always find a positive from it, and he wasn't going to let that bring down the rest of the group.
He's a handy soccer player as well.
He's not too bad. Centre half, he reckons. You know, he was telling John Terry he was available for the pro-am. So I don't know, is John going to pick up the phone to him now? But yeah.
Did you play the pro-am down there? No.
We didn't get the luxury now of playing it, but we got to walk around. And in fairness to JP and Noreen, they're just phenomenal people, phenomenal family, and you know, the access they gave us to players on that day was class. I got to meet Tiger Woods, and you know, got to meet Shane Lowry and Dustin Johnson and these lads, and got to meet some soccer players as well, Michael Carrick, which was, to me, that was as good as meeting Tiger Woods, you know. You know, we're so grateful to JP and Noreen, and you know, that was a great day out for us. And I suppose the reward they gave us on that Monday, I hope we repay them 13 days later in Crow Park on 17th July. So you know, I'm sure they were happy to have Liam McCarthy back.
Yeah, no, I think he did repay it, to be fair, Darragh. And just to finish, the people in Limerick, you know, the young girls and boys, I'm sure they're picking up hurls more than they used to 15, 20 years ago. I'm sure you've seen a growth in the game in the county. Yeah,
funny enough, John, as you say that, I was driving through Garryowen the other evening, and Garryowen wouldn't be known for its hurling, and there's 3 or 4 kids inside of it hurleys, and you know, which was class to see. And even last week, last Thursday evening, myself, Keane, Graham, and Oisin, we were coming from Kilmallock, and we said we'd go into Ballinacurra, which would be, you know, be kind of a tough area in Limerick. And we just went in there and we met a couple of supporters. We took a few photos with them and signed a few hurleys and jerseys and things like that. And I suppose for us, it's to try and inspire the next generation. As far as Limerick has always been a city and a town that's always been put down, and we just want to put it on the map as a great place and give these kids something to look up to, because the best hurlers are yet to come, and they will come, and hopefully they'll be coming from Limerick.
Well, Darragh O'Donovan, you're an absolute gentleman to speak to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. 4 All-Irelands ain't too bad, and hopefully you'll be right there for 4 in a row next year. Great to speak to you, and mind yourself.
Thanks, John. Thanks a million.